Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Purple Table Talk Intergenerational Health Talk tonight. I am so excited that all of you have shown up and decided to come and support this. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And Dr. Camilla Hall Sharp will be fielding those questions for us for the panel. I want to introduce each one of the panel people. We have Daphne Nix, DeMarco King, Ken Gray, Matt Gibbs, Vontrell McLemore, and Tamia Epps. They are our panel participants. The way that this came about was like over time. There seemed to be a lot of conversation around aging and things that were happening to our bodies as we age. And I know I've had a conversation with Vontrell McLemore about this. And so, you know, I just mentioned to the pastors, I think we need to have a talk about this, an intergenerational talk. And I think this happened last year, I mentioned it. And so here we are today having this. And I just hope that it will be insightful and that, you know, if other people have questions about things that are happening in their bodies that they'll understand, please reach out to us, and you know, maybe we'll have some answers for you. But so I want us to get started because I wanted to give a lot of time, at least the last 15 minutes. We're going to go from the 7 to about 8:15 or 8:10 on the discussion, the panel discussion, and then we'll open it up to those of you who have questions. Okay, the first question I would like for Daphne, DeMarco, and Tamia to answer this question. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that, before I start doing that, I want the panel to introduce themselves and to tell us anything that they want to tell us about themselves before we get started.
Do we have a prayer to make this meeting be accepted in the hearts of those that are willing before we start?
Okay, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. All right. God, I just thank you for being who you are to us, to each one of us. I thank you for making our bodies so magnificent and beautiful. And I thank you that, yes, we do go through changes, but I thank you that you give us the opportunity to strive with those changes, to go through those changes, to handle those changes. I just pray that whatever we can impart to some of the young people tonight about questions that they might have about their bodies and how things may change, I hope that we can help them as well. All of these things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Okay. Now, if we could have Matt to start us off and talk a little bit about who he is and where he's coming from, and that would be helpful. And then we'll go with Tamia and Von Trail and Ken, DeMarco, and then Daphne will end with Daphne.
Okay, group. My name is Matt Gibbs. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. I want to thank Olivia for allowing me to be part of this important forum. I definitely qualify. I'm 73 years old. I've been retired since 2016, and I've seen a lot of changes, to my body that, hopefully I can share those changes with you. A lot of them have been very, very positive. Some of them not so positive. So that's enough out of me for now. We'll talk more later.
Okay, Tamia.
Hi, all. My name is Tamia Epps. I'm located in Fort Worth, Texas. I am 29 years old. I'm a wife and a mom of a 3-year-old. I'm going through the phase of learning the changes of my body. So right now I'm learning new things, shocked about things that I never thought could happen to me. So I'm ready to get into this, and I thank Miss Olivia for having me.
My turn, Olivia?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Von Trill McLemore. I live in the North Dallas area, Carrollton, Texas, of the DF-Dub here in Dallas, Texas. I am a fortunate ministry partner with Miss Olivia Gray at The Gathering, a womanist church, and our co-pastors are on here. I'll take a point of personal privilege right now. If you don't have either one, oh, it's blocking me. Can you see my books? Okay, it's not doing it. All righty. I'm trying to show The Gathering, a womanist church book, in case those of you who still need to buy it, and Badass Women of the Bible from our church, co-pastors. I'm a proud septuagenarian. That means I am 70 years old. If the Lord is willing and the creek don't rise, I will be 71 May 4th. I am a mom. I'm a grandmother. I am a spouse of 50 years to the love of my life, Alfonso. I'm a retired postal employee, but I didn't go postal, at least not too often. I've been retired since 2007. Been a ministry partner of The Gathering, a womanist church, since 2019. And here again, thanks, Olivia, and to The Gathering, a womanist church, for this diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Ken?
My name is Ken Gray. I'm like the previous two guests who were blessed with 10, and now they're a member of that new aging group of the chronologically advanced. And I am 73 like the brother before, and I'm in Houston, Texas, Sugar Land, and Miss Olivia is my sister, 50 years.
Okay, DeMarco? We can't hear you. You're still muted, DeMarco.
Okay, hello. I'm DeMarco King in Dallas, Texas. 46 years old. Olivia is my aunt, so I'm glad to be on here with on this panel, on the discussion panel, and I thank God for being around people that's more wise than I am.
Daphne? You're still muted.
Okay. Hello, my name is Daphne Nix. I'm 58 years old. I'm here in Fort Worth,
Hey.
Texas. I was forced
I'm in
by
the
Olivia
Zoom.
to
I'll
be
call
on
you
this
back
channel.
afterwards.
She's my partner for the past 3 years. And I am also a member of the gathering, who I adore and enjoy being with and everything. I'm very curious because my body just been doing some crazy stuff. So I'm really, I need to be here. I got skin and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And I am so glad that all of you said yes when I reached out to you to be a part of this. Uh, I some people didn't respond, but you know the people who were supposed to be here are here, so we're gonna roll. Okay, the first question that I have tonight is to Daphne, DeMarco, and Tamia. What are the things you are doing now that can help support your body long term, like eating well, exercising, 8 hours of sleep? What are you doing now to for your body to help it sustain itself?
Well, now I'm doing more exercise for myself. I started this journey back on August 29th. So, um, the sleep part is what I need more of. I don't get too much of that, but I get to cheat at work because I get to go in the school locker room. I mean, school gym and get some workout in. Sometimes I work out with the kids in the morning time, and I'm eating better.
Um, uh, as for me, I can't lie, I'm not exercising, but I'm very active. My job, those who don't know, Tamia and I work together. And so our job requires us to do a lot of walking. She can vouch for this. We can be from one end of the building to the next end of the building in about 10 to 15 minutes. It depends on how fast we want to walk. But that's basically what I do as far as for exercising besides just working two jobs. I just like to stay active. Um, my sleep, I think we need to talk about that. I'm on the other side of 50 and the sleep it just don't. I don't, it just don't. I can literally go, I think they say you're supposed to have 8 hours of sleep. I can survive off of 4. It just don't happen for me. It don't. I don't care how tired I am. I just don't sleep anymore like I used to. As far as nutrition, I am kind of watching what I eat. And then there's days I'm watching it as it goes in my mouth. But other than that, that's about it.
So I currently work out about 4 times a week. It may not be consistent every week, but my goal is to at least be in the gym 4 times a week. And Daphne can vouch for that because sometimes I'll leave on my lunch break, just go to the gym. But so that's what I do. As far as nutrition goes, I started to be more conscious about what I put in my body. I'm not as good at it like I want to be, but I've become more conscious. I never really prioritized sleep, but I'm starting to realize that I need to because I'm starting to see the effects that it has on me, especially with having a 3-year-old. So I trying to figure out how I can make that a priority in my life. Because right now it's just I sleep when I sleep and I wake up when I wake up.
Okay, good. At every birthday, what are your thoughts? Am I getting older? Oh boy, I'm getting old.
are we still the group that's still answering these questions?
Yeah.
Okay. For my birthday, it's I just say I'm aging well. That's the terminology that I use. That I'm aging well. I don't see it as getting old. I don't, of course, it's not reversing that I'm getting younger, but I just say that I age well and I just enjoy the day.
I don't know how I feel. I don't realize how time is steady going. So for me, it's well, my 9-year-old tell me I'm old. She's one tell me who's old in the house. So she tell me I'm old. The kids at the school will tell me I'm old. So but I don't feel old. Not all the time, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I really was just, hey, it's my birthday. But now that I'm about to be 30, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my birthday. So it's finally hitting me, and my parents love to rub it in my face that I'm no longer about to be in my 20s. And I guess my life is about to drastically change from being in my 20s to going into my 30s. I guess it's a new world. So I'm looking at this birthday a lot different than I have any other birthday. I'm thankful to God that I was able to see 30. But it is a hard something that I'm trying to get used to. I'm trying to prepare.
Okay. That's good. Okay, so to the same three. Well, actually, I have another question too after this one. What are you doing now to maintain energy levels now? How might that change in the future, your energy levels?
For me, I think standing around the younger kids, younger generation is kind of helping my energy for me. It's of course to work me going and doing some little cardio at times and weightlifting and things like that. But I think being around the younger kids keep me energized, and so that's what keeps me going.
Right.
I second that. I say the same thing too. Being around my grandkids keep me energized. As y'all can see, I hang out with Tamia a lot of times. She keeps me on my toes. So I mean, and like I said, and just staying active. I'm the first one to want to jump up and go do whatever. Yes, take those walks. Just get out there and just do things, even when I probably shouldn't be, I still would try. So just trying to hang with the young people.
I am honestly depending on coffee to get through each day. My 3-year-old takes all the energy that I have. I will be good. And then the minute she steps in the room, it's like energy depleted. So right now I am running off of coffee. I don't know if that's a good thing at my age that I'm so dependent on caffeine, but that's my energy right now.
Oh, that's cool. I can't. I love coffee too, but I'm not sure if that's mine. Is just it helps to change my mood in the morning, I think. Are any of you in high stressful jobs or life situations that might stress you out a lot? And how do you manage stress? And will these help you as you age? Will these measures help you as you age? You think?
I am definitely at a stressful job. Year 22 of teaching is getting harder and harder to I guess deal with the younger people, and I put myself in junior high the last 2 years, which was one mistake that I should never ever did to myself. But what I do is really my ride home is the way I try to calm myself down from being stressed. Because usually on my Tuesday and Thursdays, I have my last class, which is I only have 3 classes that day, and my last class seems to be the class that wants to push the envelope a lot, you know. So I try to, and it's right after lunch, so they're super active. So I try to, I let my ride home be my peace,
Mm.
and I think that's what's going to help me later on. Is maybe getting in the car, driving off, or just being somewhere where I can just be relaxed. That'll help me out.
I want to open that one up to the other panelists as well. Uh, uh, are any of you in a high stressful job or life situation that might stress you out a lot? How do you manage stress, and will these measures help you now and how will they help you now and in the future? This is open to everyone. I forgot. Yeah.
I was going to answer that. My job, I won't say is stressful until we have to read the emails. When I read the emails, I kind of go left field. Stop it, Tamia. Stop it. I see what you're doing. I kind of go left field. I really do. And I try to calm myself. I really do. I'm trying to woo-saw and say, Daphne, think about your audience before you respond. You know, someone, not calling no names, has tell me that all the time. So I'm trying to do that. The stress balls is helping me too. And then my thing is on my way home, I am learning to leave work at work. So what I do is turn on music and start singing in the car all the way home.
I'm a retired federal employee, so I left that kind of stress behind me back in 2007. My grandson moved in with my husband and myself, and at the time it was my daughter. And he's a wonderful young man. On the night he graduated high school, May 28th, 2022, he had his bag packed and he said, okay, I've been telling you all ever since I was a child, I wanted to move in. So he finally moved in. We were almost at the place where we would have an empty nest. My daughter was still here, but she would eventually move about a year ago. So there's the stress and the prioritizing of my grandson's needs. He's on the autism spectrum, very high functioning with a learning difference. So I had a new kind of stress in my life. Then I had to navigate systems that weren't built for people of color with uh, differences. But I was somewhat prepared for this with my other life that I had being a postal employee because I had suffered an on the job injury about 20 years before, about 15 years before I retired. So I wasn't aware that that was setting me up, navigating the system then for me having sustained an injury on the job. But it really did. It taught me patience. It taught me that I needed to get a community of professionals around who could give me advice. I needed to have a community of familial support. I needed to have that church support. And what I do to de-stress, I work out. I go to the rec center where I also volunteer. And by the way, they named me one of their Women of the Month, in addition to the scientists, the engineers, and all of these. So that helps me to de-stress being with the younger people, trying to leave something behind, trying to plant some seeds of encouragement there. So I work out 3 times a week, and I've lost some weight, about 50 pounds. So that gives me more energy to do those things that I have to do and to also do the things that I want to do. And Dr. Hall Sharp is a proponent of the nap ministry. I took a nap today. I had a small Bible study class this morning, just me and another lady, which in that Bible study, we talked about not saying everything that's on your mind. That's okay. Tamia, I second what you've been telling Daphne. And I'm still learning that as a septuagenarian. So I took a nap, came home, ate a late lunch, took a nap. So that's what I do. I exercise, I engage and involve myself with other people, and I do rest, and I take care of me. Dr. Hall Sharp says all the time, you have to put yourself on the calendar. So I put myself on the calendar. I go to the movie. I get out and go riding with my grandson. So those are some of the things I do.
Hey, anyone else want to talk about stress and how you deal with stress in your life?
I'll go. So I, within the past few years, I've had a lot put on my plate for someone in their 20s. I dealt with the passing of my daughter. From there, I got married, and then I ended up having another child. And I don't think I've ever took the time for myself during that time. So everything was just piling on, and I never took the time to just decompress or be in the moment with my grief. So I wouldn't even say that work has stressed me out. It's really personal that has got to me. I'm now at that stage of my life where it's like, what am I doing? It has gotten to the point where I actually am on antidepressants now because I could not deal with the stress. So I'm trying to find ways where I can cope without being medicated. I started reading a lot. That kind of helps me, zone out, be in a different reality. And I read almost 20 books a month. I don't know if that's a lot to some, but to me, that's a lot because I went from not reading at all to literally that's the only thing I like to do. So it's in your 20s, I've learned that I don't think I've ever had anybody that I could go to because I'm the oldest of 7. So I've never had anybody that was older than me that could give me advice or, tell me what to look forward to or how to cope or deal with certain situations. So I feel like all the things that I was put into in my 20s, I dealt with it myself. And so the stress from that being in your 20s, it's different from when my parents were growing up. I'm starting to notice that. Because in my dad's view, he just feels like what I'm going through is nothing compared to what he had to go through. So I don't know if it's just a different generation where it's like the disconnect between the older generation for the new generation. A lot of times it's like it's not being understood. And I just think if I had somebody who was older or, wiser, like I do Daphne, I go to her all the time. Like I've literally cried in the car with Daphne because I never had somebody. She has literally, like she said, that I've talked her down. She has talked me down plenty of times. And I'm very thankful for that. because I've been stressed out so much to the point where I'm now medicated, and I don't want anybody else in their 20s to have to deal with that. If they have someone who they can go to talk about the stress they're dealing with, I would hope that they go to that person or have that person in their corner.
Okay, anyone else want to talk to that? Stress? How do you manage stress?
I'll say something. So a lot of my stress has come about by things that are basically, not in my control. Things going on in the economy, for one, that's affecting everybody, and the political stuff, and also health issues within the family. My wife and daughter, they were a few months ago diagnosed with pre-breast cancer, and so they've had to go and undergo radiation together. And so just being there to support them and just try to be of service to them. Getting up, doing, taking care of things that my wife would normally take care of, but not feeling as well as she normally would. I have to step up to the plate, which I don't mind. and and so I'm able to be helpful because about 5 years ago I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and so that is in remission now, and the medication that I'm taking seems to be working very well. So I guess that was a very stressful situation when the doctor first told me that I had the cancer, the big C. That was like, whoa, and then they were talking about doing extreme, surgery, drastic surgical procedures. And that was like, wow, I'm not ready for this. But then I spoke with some other doctors, and they came up with an option that didn't involve surgery, just a little bit of radiation. And the way I've dealt with all of those different types of stress is by, first of all, talking about it, not keeping it to myself, because a lot of times we want to isolate when we have a problem, and pretend like it doesn't exist. So, I have friends, a strong spiritual network, and Olivia is part of that spiritual network. So if I'm able to talk about it to someone else, and share it with my group of spiritual friends, that helps out a whole lot. Plus, I'm an avid meditator. Had a meditation practice probably for a few decades now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very distressing. That takes the stress out of the situation. And what it does, it makes me a little bit more equanimous, just being able to sit and meditate and sort of like just be okay with it, be okay with it. And then acceptance. Acceptance is a big part of it too. Just not trying to fight it. Yeah, you got cancer. So what's the next step? Just follow through with the next step. It's one thing to have a disorder, so you have that disorder, but it's another thing to be up in your head about it, worrying about it, because that only makes it worse. So I suffer twice. So why suffer twice? Just suffer one time. I've got the disease, that's enough. And so to just take the next logical step. Exercise has been very helpful. Going to the gym, I try to get there as often as possible. Either going to the gym or walking. Walking is good for me. And so those are the things that I do in order to deal with stress. Diet for me plays a very important part too. How I eat. I'm eating more and more. I'm leaning more and more towards a vegetarian type diet. There are many times I go days or weeks without eating any meat, whatsoever. So I've been working on that. And then there are times when, I just got to have me a cheeseburger or a barbecue sandwich or a rib, and I have it. But I eat a lot less meat, than I used to eat. And I think that makes a big difference in my diet too. And I take naps. I've been retired since 2016. So if I need a nap, I can take a nap. I take a nap. Sometimes the nap turns into a little bit longer than a nap, but I do what I need to do. My energy level, it's up and down, right now it seems to be on a pretty good level, I guess, based on diet, exercise, the meditation, the vitamins. When I'm doing all of those stuff, when I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, my energy level is pretty good. When I get off track, start eating the junk food, not going to the gym, start worrying, then it's not so good. So that's enough out of me.
Can I add something? I was thinking as Mr. Matt was talking. I read a quote by Maya Angelou about change. She said, "I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by what happens to me."
Okay.
That's what I hear you saying, Matt. You've got the diagnosis, you're taking the proper steps, you're prioritizing your health and that of your wife, and just to focus on that 24/7, the disease as opposed to how you're going to manage it is very important. Positive mental attitude. And I have counseling. I forgot to mention that. I take counseling every other week, and it's tremendously valuable to me to be able to go in and talk to someone that's objective, someone that's not judgmental about, some things that I may not be able to talk to my husband about. But anyway, yeah, positive mental attitude, PMA. Changes come. Do not let them reduce or define you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Stress to me is the only difference between a good day and a bad day is your attitude. That's how I approach stress. Unfortunately, I don't really have that much stress to give you a definition of how to handle it. I started when I was in my 20s. I think it's 27, something like that. I started a business. So I had to be positive. I had to overcome objections. I had to be my own supervisor. And so to go to someone for motivational or to have a mentor or have somebody to be accountable to, somebody to talk to was one thing. Although you have to be accountable to somebody in order to be successful because you have to have somebody to use their power, their influence, and their knowledge to pass it on to you so you can pass it on to someone else. But I listened to a lot of personal motivational tapes. I listened to a lot of spiritual leaders that was positive. And so whenever I had stress, I just called up on the name of God. I called up on Jesus. I asked for miracles. And and that's how I got through my stress, okay? Because I had nobody to supervise me when I had a problem. So I had to overcome objections from that day to today. And now overcoming objection is just my job. And I thank the Lord for giving me that gift to have that and keep my sanity in this chronologically advanced time in my life.
Okay. All right. All right. So now I want to move into physical changes, changes that we noticed happening to each one of us. It's going to happen to each one of us, has happened to each one of us. And one of the changes would be, when did you notice your hair turning gray or your hair thinning? And have you noticed when did you notice your skin changing, like the elasticity in your skin? This is for anybody can answer this. And what did you do about it? About your hair graying, thinning, yeah, the elasticity in your arms changing. Have you thought about it? Your hair graying?
Yeah. I don't have that problem with the gray hair, unfortunately. I noticed weight gaining after about, 40. When I was 30, coming out of college, you always get in a pickup league or you do something physically and you can run. And then when I turned 40, I slowed down a little bit. Uh, and then at 50, I got the rude awakening of not being able to do those things that I did when I was 20 and 30. So the gym was out of the question. Then at 50, I decided to race my grandson. And we were going to race about 3 car lengths. And I took off and my left leg disappeared and I fell and slid. And then I realized, there's no more running. Okay. And then in the 60s, I could lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, but it had a lot to do with lifestyle, eating and maintaining a conscientious lifestyle. But then at 70, I'm 70, turning 74, and all of a sudden I noticed my muscles stop popping up and they popping down. And like they had a flat, So and around my knees, by not doing certain things anymore, my knees, they're not weak, but they start looking funny. And then one day, I was sick with the flu, and I walked by the mirror, and I thought it was somebody in my house. It was me. So that's how I noticed. But the biggest change was how to regain the skin that's going on the flat. And we talk about the neck, and then they have exercises. I haven't adopted made a commitment to any kind of exercises for it yet, but I think the rest of my 70s, I will be making some kind of commitment to see if that's true. Because I bought the stuff they tell you to put on and take away the wrinkles. Yeah, it do it for about a week, and then you got to buy some more.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
That's
Anybody
about the
else?
only successful thing I could say. All
Oh.
right.
Anybody else got any um, answers to when they first noticed their hair graying and what that meant to them?
Well, I have alopecia and I started losing my hair in my mid-30s. So that was just, a real big I'm on the floor crying type of situation. But what I want to talk about is something currently that just happened to me in the past 2 weeks. I'm starting to notice that I'm getting that skin loosening in my neck. And I happened to look in the mirror one day and I was like, what is that? And then I turned my neck one way and turned it the other way and it was still there. So I will admit to everyone, but that's bothering me. Everything else that if I can cover it up, I don't worry about. But my neck, I don't want to walk around with a scarf on every day, but yeah, it's kind of bothering me. So Ken, please talk to me about the exercise for the neck, So,
Yeah.
I can work on that because I don't like that. That I don't like.
Okay. All right.
The gray hair and the thinning hair, I don't have that. Although nobody ever sees it, I've got lots of hair. And those of you that have seen my daughter, she gets her hair from me. but mine is dreaded, and it's just really natural. So I don't worry about that, and it's not as gray as I thought it would have been. But then my great grandmother had Native American heritage, so she passed at 82, one or two gray hairs. My mom had more gray hair than her mother did, but I don't worry about the hair thing. You know, it's a trade off. For decades, I was obese. Okay. I recently discovered that medical science will allow us, as opposed to what my mother or my dad might have had, 40, 50 years ago, to do some things differently. I've had to reacclimate myself to do what I can do about diet, exercise, and things like that. But when you are septuagenarian, it's harder, as Ken mentioned earlier, it just doesn't go away. So I've got a trade off, what I'm trying to say. I've lost the 50 pounds, I've gained a little fat. I don't mind the neck, it's drooping somewhat, but I'm healthier. So my perspective on the neck is I don't have the other 50 pounds that I'm lugging around on other parts of my body that are making me less healthy. So again, it's perspective, I guess, and what you see as important. But I was telling a girlfriend, about 3 weeks ago, she's a glamour girl. She used to weigh 450 pounds. Now she's about 165 pounds. So her whole talk is, oh, my neck, my neck, my neck. And I said, girl, you used to weigh 450 pounds and you're talking about your neck. You look fine. You look marvelous. So it's perspective. Yeah, I've got the neck, the skin on my neck. And when I walk by the mirror, I do as you can. Is that me in that mirror? But then when my eyes go on down to the rest, the remainder of what's not there, then I say, okay, I'll take that trade off.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. I want to get more into things that happen to our bodies, like Matt brought up, his prostate, and for women, it's perimenopause and menopause. So I would like to talk about perimenopause and what are some of the symptoms around that. And if the guys want to, if the guys are having any problems, then if you feel free to talk about it, let's talk about that. How guys are, how you change, how things change for you sexually, how things, things are just not functioning the way that they were, had been functioning, I guess, because that's not a question that I had down, but I just thought about it. So if anybody wants to, talk about that, then let's open that up.
I'll start off. Yeah, so a lot of stuff functioned the way, and maybe even better, up until I was about 64, 66, until I was about 68. Everything was still working okay, but then after that, it was sort of like downhill, if you catch my drift. And then it just stopped, with the prostate cancer. And I thought that I would, be very disappointed. But, but I had some acceptance, and the medicine that I take, I don't have the urge that I used to have. So I don't have that no any lust issues anymore. So that's kind of good. So it's not like I have to fight it, or suffer. So that's one piece. And then plus it was getting to the point that it's, a lot of times it just took too much energy, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I'm wondering if this great expenditure of energy is worth it. Now I got to rest up for about 3 or 4 days. So yeah, so I'm okay with it now. It's been probably about 3, 4, 5 years. And I'm good. And I think what happened is that energy gets sublimated. I feel more spiritual. I don't have those distractions anymore. It's sort of like it's sort of like a medically induced celibacy, and and so I feel closer to my higher power, to my God, and yeah, so that's how that works. I mean, you think when you're younger, oh Lord, if that happened to me, it'd be the end of the world. But once you get to our age, it's just not as important as it used to be. It becomes less and less important. So that's one thing, and I don't even try to take anything to change it. You know what I mean? I just
Mhm. Mhm.
I can see some of the young people and me like, oh, hey. But it is what it is, and life is really more enjoyable because I don't have those expectations for anything. I can accept a person or a relationship just for that person. There are no ulterior motives of anything like that. So it makes it very. Somebody said lust kills love. So the love that I have is very pure.
Mm.
I have a lot of female friends now, and I don't have to worry about those thoughts. It's just a pure, clean, relationship. You know,
Mm.
it just seems to be a lot closer than it would be if I had those thoughts. Those motives. So yeah, so that's been a big change. And plus, I'm a meditator, so I don't have those distractions. My mind is on what it's supposed to be. Yeah, so I guess that's enough out of me along those lines.
I remember the first time I had like a total hysterectomy, and so uh, the first time that I had a hot flash was like probably 2 weeks after I'd had my surgery, and I was like, "What is this?" I mean, I was like I was burning from the inside out, and it was in the wintertime, and I had to, we were in a car, and I had to roll down the window because I was like, I'm burning up, So that was my first introduction to a hot flash. So, oh my gosh.
I think I had my first hot flash shortly after my daughter was born. Uh, and it was horrible. I would be sitting at work, and we had those little fans, and you could position them where they'd blow on you. That wasn't enough. I had to go out and get the biggest fan that I could find and sit it there at my workstation. That was the only relief I had. A few years after that, I had my surgical procedure, Olivia, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Uh, I had very, very heavy periods for about 20 years, and the doctors discovered the problem. So I did have the hysterectomy, and it was the best surgery, and I've had several. That was the best decision that I could have made. The hot flashes, and of course, you have no more menses every month. Uh, I've in my 851 months of life, 25,884 days, 4 million minutes, 220,548 seconds, and 3,691.63 weeks. My husband and I, many of those years, we had the time of our lives. A couple of nights ago, we were in the den. He was in his power recliner. I was in my power recliner. We were watching One-Eyed Jacks. My husband's a Western movie buff. One-Eyed Jacks stars Marlon Brando in his finest, 1958, I believe. And we were just sitting there watching that movie. And like Mr. Matt said, we reconnected on that level of just remembering things that we like to do that did not involve that other thing, which was fine and it's fine if we both decide that we want to do that. And then last night we listened to jazz. My husband is a jazz aficionado. He's a music lover, period, but he really loves the Cole Tyner and Errol Garner, Miles Davis, those real jazz purists. And we were listening to jazz, Pat Metheny, and he's one of those from the smooth jazz. So I asked my husband, do you remember this? Do you remember this? So in conclusion, there are ways you can connect once you get creative about those. You reimagine things you thought you had forgotten. You reintroduce those. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So we laugh and we talk about things. We listen to music. We watch old movies. That brings value to both of our lives in our septuagenarian phase.
Okay. We kind of touched on sleeping habits. Have any of you had your sleeping habits changed? Do you need like the TV or music or reading a book to help you fall asleep? Okay.
I need the TV. I can't go to sleep without some type of background noise. And my husband hates it because I will turn on the TV on any show and I, lower the volume a little bit and then I turn over and go to sleep. I'm not even watching it. I just need noise in order for me to go to sleep. I can't go to sleep in pitch black, darkness, quietness. I can't because my mind doesn't turn off. And it's like works overtime if I'm sitting there with no noise.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, that was a big. Go ahead.
No, go on.
Oh yeah, that was a big of me and my wife. She had to fall asleep with the TV on, and then when you mention it to her, she said, "I'm not asleep. I'm just resting my eyes." And so I can go without the TV. I just as soon be quiet, or I would prefer to listen to an audio, a spiritual, talk, that type of thing at night. And then even then I'll set the timer for like 15, 20 minutes and I usually fall asleep. But my sleep issue is frequent urination. So, I've been working on that, getting up 2 or 3 times, sometimes more frequently to go to the bathroom. So that kind of breaks my sleep. Sometimes it's better. I try to control the amount of water I drink before I go to bed. Then I have medication to sort of help with that. But I guess when you get older, you have those issues. And then, of course, I most days I would supplement my sleep pattern with a nap during the day, as I mentioned before. So that's
Are any of you experiencing like a decrease in mobility or strength or balance? And if so, does stretching or doing low pack exercises or mindfulness, has that been helpful to you?
I have experienced that. Here lately, I had flu, pneumonia, bronchitis, chest pains, and during that time, well, um, the doctor kept saying I was trying to walk to walk the street, the cul-de-sac, which is about 50 yards, 25 yards, something like that. And he was saying, you got to walk with somebody, you're gonna fall. I never felt that I would fall, but I have noticed that when I'm around some of my friends and we drop our keys, we be looking at each other wondering who's gonna go down and get them. Now that seemed to be a common problem. Oh, probably about 60. You don't know who's gonna go down and get the keys. And then at one time we were in the youth church, and all of the elders were sitting on the first row in the little church. So we tried to get up and get up. This was about 3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And so we had to get everybody to pull us up. And then one of my doctor friends told me about fish oil, Carson's fish oil. So I started taking the fish oil. Within a week, I could get up out the chair, and raise up, and that's a problem when you get in your 60s, getting up out the chair. Sometimes it's not as easy as it seems. But taking that fish oil, I seem to be able to just get up out the chair with no ease, with ease. Okay. And I turned it on to a bunch of my church members, and they living and dying by that, getting up out of the chair. But if you take too much, it do have side effects. That's one warning I always tell them if you overdo it. But DeMarco will be reaching that plateau pretty soon, and it's difficult, and that's one of the things that I notice, other than picking up the keys.
Okay.
Well, this already started for me, and I think it's mostly from sports injuries, or just doing sports period. It's hard for me to bend over a lot, and I try to stretch my lower back. So that's where I have a lot of pain. Is in my lower back. And when I went to the chiropractor, he told me that I'm pretty much bone on bone on one side. So I try to do a lot of stretches to try to help it, help ease the pain. And then my knees, especially by me having the ACL torn. I feel it in my knees. So I'm starting to feel every little thing, that everybody else complaining about. So now I just try to stretch or try to do some type of activities to get my body going, get the blood going.
I know that at our Loaves and Fish ministry, everyone has heard me talk about drinking pickle juice for aches and pains, because sometimes in doing repetitive things at that service, I would my hands would start to cramp up, and I was like, okay, I need my pickle juice. And sometimes I would have it in my purse, and other times Daphne would have to go out and get it in the car, because I do keep it in the car, because it does help with easing that chronic pain that happens. I'm not calling it what it may be. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that it does. The pickle juice helps in relaxing my hands, even when I get one of those the pains
Cramp.
in my leg. Yeah, cramp. That's a good one. A cramp in my leg or something like that. I drink the pickle juice, and the pickle juice really does help. So that's one thing I want to pass off to people who are having those kinds of pains. And they sell pickle juice at in the store just by itself, so you don't have to buy the pickles. But but yeah, they sell the juice all by itself. So that's my one tidbit for tonight about aches and pains.
Along with that, mustard does the same thing.
Yeah.
You take mustard and it do the same thing. I got I got pickle juice on one side and mustard on the other.
Uh,
My
I'm
mother swore. I'm
noticing
sorry.
that sometimes what I've noticed, and I do have to talk to my doctor about it immediately, I'm losing my balance. I find myself like I could be standing and then next thing I feel like I'm about to fall. And I did it a couple of times and I thought that maybe, oh, I'm just being clumsy. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing because like I said, I like to be active and I'm always hurrying up to do things. But I was somewhere and I was standing and it was nothing in front of me, nothing behind me, and I almost lost my balance. So I'm noticing that, it scares me a little bit, but I'm not trying to sit in it. I still keep going, but I am noticing, as I get older, that my balance is not as good as it was when I was in my 40s or 30s. So I do notice that.
The cure for that is that's your equilibrium. If you take one foot, go in the kitchen with a sink and stove, put your hands on there and put one foot on the line and the back foot on the line and they lining up with each other and let go. 1001, 1002, 1003. You'll get dizzy. You'll feel the inside here changing and you can do that and you have to work on it. You might get up to 10, but 3 is about as far as you're going to go the first time and you will get dizzy. And then after that, switch the feet and your equilibrium will come back. You'll feel it inside your body. That's an old track baseball thing.
Thank you for that suggestion because I have been concerned about that too. And just as there's a death, yeah, I thought maybe, I was just, standing on unlevel ground or something. I didn't think it was me changing, but now it's happened several times where I would just be standing in a perfectly, level ground and just lose my balance, stuff that I would normally do, and all of a sudden I'll tilt over and catch myself. I have to hold on to something. And so, yeah, I noticed that my balance is becoming less and less, as I get old. I'm losing my balance more and more as I get older, and I don't want to fall. So I've been doing some exercises. I do some yoga balancing exercises. I think what Ken recommended, I'm going to try that. But I'm also going to talk to my doctor to see if there's something going on, on the inside of my ear too, to cause my balance to be
Yeah,
be
that
up.
can throw you off. That can throw you off. But once you try that, go in the kitchen where you can have something to hold or touch and
Mhm,
let up, and you're gonna get real dizzy on the first attempt and
mhm.
then switch legs and try it and you'll feel yourself getting better. Uh, they had me doing that in track because I couldn't run that's how you run, okay? With your feet like that, straight like that. Okay. And then you have to have balance. But when you try it, I've told a lot of my chronologically advanced brothers and that to do that so they could get their balance so they won't be falling. Plus, at the same time, it lowers your blood pressure a little bit.
Okay. Right.
My mother swore by mustard, Ken, when you're naming all these homeopathic, holistic things that you do. My mother was ahead of that by 40 or 50 years. We didn't have a lot
Yeah.
of money. So she intuitively knew these things. The mustard, the apple cider vinegar, she did that. And there were another couple of things. When we were little kids, she would take mayonnaise and put it on our hair as conditioner. And I would say, why are you doing that? I'm going to go to school smelling like a salad. But anyway, those, we call them old home remedies.
Mhm.
Many of them do work. And Olivia, I didn't realize they sold pickle juice separate from the pickle. So I'm going to check that out. But uh, I, I've noticed that since for years, I had problems with my knees, but not to the point of needing a surgery. I was just carrying around too much weight on my knees. My problem was my upper extremities, wrists and shoulders. I suffered a fall on my job. And as a result of that, I've had bilateral carpal tunnel on both hands and bilateral on my shoulders. And I'm glad that I had those before I did get to where I lost my mobility. But the balance issue, I find that when I finish my workout at the rec center, I do about 25 minutes on the treadmill, and then I do another 35 minutes on the stationary bike. If I get up too quickly from that last activity, which is the stationary bike, I kind of have to catch myself. So I am intentional before I get up. Just sit there a couple of minutes, de-stress, breathe, drink some water. It could be that I could be slightly dehydrated too. And then when I drop something here on the floor, I have that problem. Now I have to think about, that's another thing. As one chronologically progresses in age, where you used to could just see and do, now you have to think, okay, what do I need to do to get ready to pick those keys up? And then slowly walk yourself through step by step. So I'm finding I'm being forced to be more intentional, and I don't have any problem with my lower extremities.
Okay. We are moving into the time of just taking questions, if we have any, from our audience, from the people who who have joined us for this session. If we have any questions, we can. Reverend Camilla was going to, if she can read those for us, and then anybody can answer them.
Yeah, and then those who are in the Zoom room, because I'm only going to read in those for if somebody posts it on Facebook or YouTube. But if you're in the Zoom room and you have a question, you could just come off mute. And I do have one question just to get us off. And my question is, what has been one thing that you've experienced that nobody told you about? Like nobody said this is gonna happen. Like, some stuff we kind of knew was gonna happen, but what has been one thing like nobody said anything about this?
Retirement.
Say more.
Yeah. We find ourselves approaching 60, thinking that 62 is a wonderful time to retire. Okay. And then you retire and you keep that job and you find out you owe money. Okay. Because you retired, but you didn't you can only make $12,000 a year. Okay. Then you get to 65 and you're still working. All right, and you're gonna retire and you keep that job, and then you done made some money, you made over $1,200. All right. Now you got to pay that back. So you turn 66 and you can make all the money you want without worrying about any limits. Okay. Then when you turn 73 and you got that 501k and some more instruments of savings, uh, you got to take a withdrawal and make a deposit. Either you're gonna have to pay the taxes on the front end or you're gonna have to pay the taxes on the back end. All right. And this is your money, right? Then there's other things like insurance. Okay. Uh, the probably Matt can tell you that the insurance has changed so much in the last 10 years that we thought that Social Security would be taking their little money out of our check. Now insurance companies can take the Social Security part and pay your whole insurance, and you got no deductible and you got some deductible, and it's just you got to really pay attention to your insurance. But planning your retirement is a good thing to do right now, and suggesting to the youngsters, they have 50 years there. They could, nobody probably is telling them they can work 15 years at this company and get full retirement and go to the next one and end up with 2 or 3 retirements when they get 65. Nobody's telling nobody about that, but they'll stay at the job 20, 30, 40 years and retire from that one job. You got me? So nobody's never don't tell you about those kind of things. Uh, uh, Getting buried, when you're young and it's like school teachers, they tell you to go in there and save that money. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, right? but they got a plan for you, because when you get 65 and you retire and you ain't put nothing in there, you don't have nothing. But if you go ahead when you're 22 and 23, you hear me, DeMarco? Yeah, and you take that plan and you get 40 or 50, and you might have $3,000 a month. And then you might have Social Security because you worked on a part-time job. Okay. So nobody's telling you about those things, or nobody told you about them, but I'm just suggesting that to you now, that you think and look in those areas, because there's gonna come a time, okay? And uh, some people will tell you and some people won't. That's our problem. Sometimes we never sit down and tell you about that. But what I just told y'all now, you can think about it. And the last 10 years is the money that you're going to get, that you put in the Social Security, and that's what you're going to get out. You don't
Okay.
put nothing in. When I retired, I was going to get $329 a month, because I had worked self-employed from 27, and I didn't put nothing in. And then they came up with a self-employment tax for business people about 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And that self-employment tax, when you go into business, you have to pay the self-employment tax, and that's just like you paying taxes. I mean, it's like you paying Social Security. And that way, when you retire, you'll have some money, if you do it right. So that's planning. And you 30s and 40s, you can do that, and come
Okay.
out ahead. And that's what retirement is all about. Any questions?
Thank you.
Can I answer that too as well?
Please.
What nobody told me, I piggyback off of what Ken said, financial planning early. You cannot start too soon. And if your job has a match, you take advantage, do the max that you can while you're young, because as you get older, things will change, policies will change, laws will change. So match. Your company matches your contribution to your own retirement. Take advantage of it. Put away as much as you can. And this, I'm going to take the flip side of that. No one told me, and I did not expect to be retired at 53 years old, but no one told me that I would be a contributor to the Gathering, a Womanist Church, books, stories, sermons, litanies. No one told me I'd be a ministry partner of the same church, as well as a member of the Voices of the Gathering. No one told me I would be an autism ambassador for Family Voices research program, advocating for Black families with autism. Speaker at the National Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee as a meeting panelist. No one told me that. No one told me I'd be an autism advocacy community member. No one told me I would be a Bible study moderator at my grandson's church, Prestonwood, one of the bastions of neo-nationalism. No one told me that, but they need DEI there. No one told me I'd be there. No one told me I'd be a recipient of the volunteer award from the City of Dallas Parks and Rec Center. No one told me that they would ask me to sing the national anthem this year. No one told me that I would be a member of the Carrollton Writers League. I'm a closeted novelist, and no one told me I'd be doing that. No one told me I'd be a reimagined songwriter, and I got that terminology from Dr. Jan, meeting her at the Gathering, a Womanist Church. No one told me I'd be doing that. Let's see, caregiver for my husband, caregiver for my grandson. My husband is a meritorious Vietnam vet. No one told me that I would be as active as I am in my septuagenarian life. No one told me that people would still want to hear my lived experiences, and that it might be able to be valuable to someone else. Nobody told me how fulfilling retirement could be. Thank you for having me on your panel, Olivia.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions?
I just want to speak on the Social Security issue. Olivia helped me just the other day, matter of fact, and go and look what you have in there. You know, when she told me that, I looked at her like, huh? She said, go check and see. You've been working for years. She said, go and see what you have. Check it out. Download it. Save it somewhere. Because, you know, things are happening out here. I don't need to get totally into that, but you want to have proof that you got money and that you pay into it. So Olivia told me. So I did it, and I want to share it with everyone. Go and look at what you currently have, download it, save it, and check it as often as you possibly can, because that is your money. You put it in there, you earned it, you deserve it. So please know that somebody told you.
I think another important thing too, as a young person, and I wish I had done more of it, is to use a professional financial advisor, you know, to help you figure this stuff out. Because you know, I invested my money a little bit differently instead of, you know, coming up with the investment plans myself, which basically amounted to putting money in a savings account, you know, and so, you know, I didn't earn as much money as I could have earned had I had a professional financial advisor to help manage my money. You know, I mean, I was able to, it turned out okay for me in the end, but I'm sure I would be a lot better off financially today had I taken advantage of. And a lot of times your job will offer those services to you, so take advantage of it. And I was told, I think you mentioned it, the same thing, whenever they have these matching funds, you know, yeah, take advantage of that. Just max that out. That's because that's free money, you know. If they're gonna if they're gonna do a 6% match, you put the 6% in, you know, and get that money. And it doesn't seem like much now, but that money over the years when it compounds, you'd be surprised, you know, how fast that, I mean, how much that adds up to over 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You really would be. You know, you end up being a millionaire, not realizing just making those little investments, how they could add up.
And another thing is, he said get a professional advisor. That's true, because our parents wanted to give everybody, every child something. Wanted to give every child something. Okay. And in doing that, it just made it difficult when they passed with the probate courts and all that kind of stuff. And so it's best to get one, but the financial planning will probably tell you about trust funds and personal trust funds, business trust fund, land trust funds. And you can put that there and it protect you, because you die and you don't have no beneficiary, you got a problem, okay? Because we didn't get no beneficiary. And that's on your bank account, on your house, all kind of stuff. So sometimes we didn't find out about this till we got in the situation where we were retiring. So we can pass it on to you to start thinking about those things and looking in those areas, because you don't have much now, but later on you'll have a lot. And if you find out early, you can protect yourself. And and today it's so modern, you might not, you find out what to do. YouTube gonna tell you how to do the paperwork. You know, and just take a chance. But the financial part of it, we need to tell our youth, all right? Just like we need to tell them more about politics and how important that is. Uh, Death and retirement, they're all going to happen. So look into it and get your advisor and do that, and just plan, because uh, it's nothing like saying I wish I had did that. And
Yeah.
the school teachers, they have about the roughest road to go because they have to make a decision early. And sometimes the first thing you want to cross out in your budget is insurance.
Yeah.
Savings. That's the first thing you want to cross out. But if you take the spiritual approach at that and tithe, you don't worry about it because you're doing something right. And tithing always brings about a miracle somehow one day if you have faith and it comes from your heart.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions from the people who are visiting us?
I don't know. Tamia came off mute. Did you have something to say?
Oh,
Yes, I just wanted to piggyback off of what everyone said, because that would be the advice that I would give to the generation after me. The same thing when it comes to finances, politics and things like that is what I'm learning now. The things that I didn't care about in my 20s is, who cares about saving at 21? Is this you get it, you spend it. So, but now that I'm almost 30, I'm like, okay, so that's not going to work out anymore. So, I'm definitely glad to hear that from the generation before me, to hear that advice that y'all are giving about finances and financial advisors. And pay attention what's going on in the world. In your 20s, you're not really focused about what's going on in the world, but because you're young and you think you're just living life and that's all you want to do. But at that time, you're not realizing that when you reach 30 and 40, how those decisions that you did not care about in your 20s are going to affect you. So I'm just glad to hear that, and I second all the all the advice from the generation before me to the generation after me. I second all of that.
Yeah, and another thing too is probably the best investment I made in my whole career was buying a house. And see, I didn't buy a house until I was 45 years old, say, but I know a lot of people get them when they're much younger. And even at 45, that turned out to be a tremendous investment because that house is just about paid for now. I got it in 2000. And so I managed to, I almost have it paid for. So there's a lot of equity in it. So, but think about, I mean, my kids, they got their homes in the 20s and when they were like in their early 20s. So that's really important, to go in and buy that, make that investment into a house instead of paying rent as soon as you can, try to get a good interest rate, try to buy in a nice neighborhood. Real estate will pay off in the long run. It always goes up, there might be a little depression or recession, but eventually, over 20, 30 years, it will basically pay for itself, double, tripling, or more.
all
I'd
right.
like to piggyback off of the real estate thing. My husband and I bought our house. I was 22, he was 24. He was a Vietnam vet. We bought our first house. Wrap your mind around this. 1976 for $25,500. The last car my daughter bought herself was twice that much. $25,500 in 1976. His down payment was secured through his benefits through the VA. Fast forward 50 years that we've been married. And by the way, those years will just fly by. Tamia, you're here now in your 30s. One of these days, and you remember that this septuagenarian told you this, time is going to fly by like it's got wings on it. Because I remember this like it was yesterday. We bought our first house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet. My daughter is leasing a loft apartment on the outskirts of downtown. She can look out and see the Mavericks home, the basketball team's home stadium there off of I-35. And I'm not even going to put a business out there, but she's paying numerous times to rent a 1,000 square foot loft than we did for our first house.
Wow.
50 years ago.
Wow.
So it's going to be difficult for our younger generation to buy that house. But like Mr. Matt said, squirrel away something. Utilize your opportunities on your job. Max everything out there. And I don't like to say this, but some people are going to be losing their houses and their apartments, their townhouses, their condos, because this economy is getting ready to tank. That would be a great opportunity for those of you who have put yourself in a position to be able to buy some distressed properties. So think about that. If you can put something back now to try to take advantage of what I hope doesn't happen, but you know, I hate to be a bearer of bad news because I'm always trying to be positive, but that could turn out to be a positive if you can acquire a property at rock bottom rate.
All right. I just we have reached 8:30, 8:31, and I want to be true to our time frame. And I just want to thank everyone, the panelists, everyone who joined us for this first Purple Table Talk this year. And I hope that we have been able to share some things with you, and that you can remember and hold on to. And I just really appreciate everyone showing up and to make this a success for me. Thank you. Thank you for saying yes. All of you for saying yes. Thanks, Reverend Camila and Reverend Irie for also coming on and being and helping me out with this. So this is it. This is the end. And I just want to say good night to all of you. And thank you so much. And I just pray that that we'll meet again at some point and have a good time together.
We'll close this meeting out with one of your wonderful prayers.
You go right ahead, Ken.
Dear Father, we come to you tonight after this meeting, asking you not only to open up our minds, but open up our hearts to new ideas and new ways. And Father, as we, the elder and the chronologically advanced, pass on our knowledge, Father, we just ask that they take it in and not only use it, but take your word where we are the ones now that are using our power, our influence, and our knowledge to pass it on to the next generation. And Father, we thank you for everybody that's here tonight and made the sacrifice to come online. And we just ask that they got some out of it. And if they did, we just ask that you strengthen them in the way that you can. And because we tried to do something pleasing to them and pleasing to you tonight in your